Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to show you my March monthly setup, but first we're going to look at February and how this spread turned out. As you can see, I didn't use my monthly vibes as much as I wanted to, so that is why I'm taking it out of the March setup that I'm going to show you. And my weekly setups, I sort of experimented with these ones. I really wanted the events to be together with the different tasks that I had to do that day. So that was why I was changing it up during every single week. But I really like how it ended up looking and, working for me. But now let's move on to March and the front page. The theme for this month is sort of loose, which means that there isn't like a specific theme. I would personally call it sort of like a camping theme or into the woods. And I know it really doesn't match with March and spring, but I just really wanted to make a theme that were more sketchy and more, where you can just sort of draw more intuitive instead of just having something specific that you have to do every single time. So this was more like loose-handed and sketchy, and I really like how it turned out, especially the front page. For all of my headers this month, I choose to go with this sort of bold font with this transparent drop shadow. I don't know how to describe it, but I really like it, and I've seen a lot of YouTubers and bullet journalists do this one, so that is why I'm also doing it. And of course at the bottom here I'm just doing the calendar of March. And as I promised you in my last video, I was going to change up my monthly calendar, so that is what I'm doing here. I'm basically just doing a standard calendar layout, and yes, I do know that I've made a mistake. This is not how the calendar of March looks, but you will see me get, I will find out in the end, don't you worry. I'm doing the same moon as I did on the front page, and the technique I'm using is sort of, as you can see, this dotting technique, and wherever you put the most dots, that spot would be the darkest, so that is how you can sort of give the object some dimension. And here I'm just starting to sketch out loads of these trees, just to make it look very foresty and make it look like the calendar sort of is inside of a forest. And I'm using one of my Pitt artist pens, one of those sort of calligraphy pens. I will leave it all down in the description, but I'm using that one to do these big trees, and then I'm just adding a drop shadow around these squares to make it look a bit prettier and a bit more sort of put together. Unfortunately my camera stopped filming, but I just made all of these dark spots around in the corners where I could write the dates with my Uni-ball pen in a white color. And yes, this is here where I noticed that I've made a mistake, and actually I also wrote some of the dates wrong. But as you can see here, it's pretty easy to correct this mistake whenever you have like a black background to a white pen, because you can just go over again with the black and then correct it again with the white pen. But now moving on to my habit trackers. Here you can see I'm just using the same layout as I've done the 2 previous months, by starting off by writing the habits that I'm going to track and then my mood tracker. But actually this month I wanted to see how my mood sort of was affected by how much sleep I get. So that is why I also wrote these numbers at the top, so I could have my sleep tracker sort of over the mood tracker. And out here on the right side I'm just doing this sort of lunar calendar, so I can also see whether my mood or sleep cycle is affected by the moon cycle. At the bottom I'm just going to draw a row of these trees, and then I'm starting off with a dark or more thick pen. This is the size small, and then I'm going in with a size extra small just to create some sort of tinier trees in the back to give it some more dimension. And for the header I'm just going to do as I did on the front page and all of the other headers, just this bold font with this drop shadow. And here I'm basically just showing you how I'm going to track the different things during the month. And as you can see, this video is a bit late, so that is why I can also already start tracking some of these stuff, since I am filming this video the 4th of March. And moving on to the next page, I'm going to do two spreads that I'm not used to do. The first one is a master to-do list, and the second one is a purchase list. The last couple of weeks I really felt like I needed two lists like these, so that is why I am incorporating them in this monthly setup, and I really hope that I'm going to use them, because I have a feeling that they could be very useful whenever you just have a thing that pops up in your head that you need to do or need to buy. So I really hope that I can get a lot of use out of these two. At the bottom I'm just taking advantage of all of the space that I have down here, so I'm drawing two mountains with my Tombow brush pen, and then doing sort of detail on them so they can look a bit more rocky and realistic. And then I'm also going to make sure that the gray sort of goes all the way down to the page, because I'm going to draw this row of trees once again. So I really wanted the gray background to fade in with the trees. And then on the right I'm just going to do sort of the same setup or motive as I did on the front page, with this little fiery and a tent. On this next page I'm also going to have a new spread, which is my expense tracker, and I got this idea and the layout from Amanda Rachel Lee, who also did this same idea this month. And actually it's hard to explain right now, you can see it in the end, but I'm just starting off by drawing these mountains and then doing these boxes that I'm going to color in with black right after. And all of these boxes and mountains are going to be my sort of headers, and as you can see I'm just making the mountains a bit bigger because I'm going to do this row of trees at the bottom, so I just wanted to make sure that you could still see the mountains. And as you can see, the first one I drew the trees a bit bigger than the other ones, but I liked them a bit smaller so that you could have the feeling of, you know, the great big mountains and not the great big trees. And now I'm just writing week 1, week 2 and week 3 and 4 just to represent every single week in March. It makes more sense when I put the headers in, but basically you're just going to track how many money you spend on the different categories. So you write in how much money you for example spend on fashion the first week, and then in the end you can see how much money you spend on the different categories. And of course I also had to do mistakes here, but again it's very easy to correct these mistakes. You just go over it again with the black pen and then correcting it with the white. For my weekly setup, I'm just going to do one page, even though I sort of promised you guys that I wanted to show you my 2-page setup, but I just knew that this week I would not have a lot of stuff to do. So I'm basically just doing this border at the top where I'm going to write week 10 and March. While the black is just drying, I'm just going to do this calendar of March. I really like to have these calendars in my weekly setup because, as you can see, as I just did here, I can just mark off the specific week that I'm in. Here I'm just using the same Tombow pen to mark off where I want the different days to be, and then inside of this color I'm just going to write the different days, and then of course also the date for the specific day. And just in a sec you will see why this video is actually delayed. You can see here the lightning just turned really bright because the sun started shining, and I know it sounds silly, but my desk here is the only place that I can film these videos, and whenever the sun is shining the picture just gets way too overexposed, so that is why I haven't been able to film for a whole week. So yeah, but moving on to my journaling section, as you can see here again I just cheated a bit because I already did my journaling sections for the first 3 days, even though I haven't set up the spread yet. But basically this setup is just going to be the same as I've used for the 2 other months as well. So I'm just having the month at the top and then doing this highlight section at the bottom, and then of course giving sort of 2 dots for every single day, so that I have the opportunity of writing 2 lines per day. To put the theme into the setup, I just did these trees going out from the 2 different headers, and that is basically it. So here you can see the final flip through of this month. I really like how it turned out, even though I basically just used black and gray colors, but I think that I really got some life into the spread and some interesting spots here and there, so I really like how this turned out. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to subscribe to this YouTube channel and follow me on my Instagram. And I hope to see you next time. Bye guys!